morning, students. I hope my screen is visible and I am audible. Can anyone respond? Okay, thank you. And I already mentioned in the chat window also, kindly don't share your hall ticket numbers before I ask. Before even the session began, somebody started giving the roll numbers and everyone started giving roll numbers. Don't give the roll numbers before the session starts. I'll be asking in between. At that time, you can post your roll numbers. And another thing is, if you people don't secure minimum 60% of the test which I'm going to conduct, I don't consider then you are attending the session. That's how I'll be considering. If you don't secure minimum 60%, definitely I assume that you are not attended the session. Because if you attend the session, frankly saying, you should be able to secure all 100%. So that's the reason I'm not going to consider the roll numbers which you are posting even before I was asking. So until I ask, don't post any roll numbers for attendance. I am conducting using YouTube Live only for the sake of having a recap of the executions, whatever I am showing, so that you can work with that while you are practicing. That's the only purpose why I am conducting YouTube Live. So don't take it for granted. That's the only thing which I wanted to convey you. And unfortunately, yesterday, due to some network issue on my side, I got to understand that there is some delay between the audio and the visual. So whatever the visual I'm showing, it is somewhat behind than the audio what you are able to listen. I don't know how far you understood that. Very quickly, I'll discuss about that, and then I'll move on to today's discussion: formatting and exception handling. So So yesterday, few of them have asked me kindly put this entire thing in side by side. That is the input and output. So I hope this is fine. So here you can see. Yesterday I was discussing about files. So I said you how to open the file. And anyway, you people have already attempted the test also. I hope by seeing the wrong answers also you might have understood what mistake you made. So by default, we will be using open command for opening a file, and that I have shown you. Something like this you will be using file handler equal to open off, and then you are going to give the file name in single quotes. If it is in the same directory, you can give straight away without the full path. If it is in some other directory, then you have to use drive label colon two backslashes, and this is what the syntax, and then comma mode of the operation. So mode, by default, if you don't specify, it will be read mode. If you want, you can use write mode, but just remember, write mode will overwrite the contents of the existing file with the newer contents, whereas append mode, if you use, it will be appending to the existing contents without overwriting the existing content. So you should be able to know which mode you are using for what purpose it will be fulfilling you. Next, similarly, X will be used for creating the file if it is not existing. But by default, when you don't specify any mode, the mode of operation will be read only. So just remember that point. So in read mode, you cannot perform any write up. You can't write new content, or you can't append any content to the existing content as well. So with read mode, the only operation you can perform is reading. And I think you have even done with the exam also. I mean, yesterday's mock test. So in that you might have understood. So read command we have used in order to read a specific number of characters from the file. So read of 2 indicates 2 characters will be read. Read of 8 indicates it reads the next 8 characters, because first when I have written read of 2, automatically the first 2 characters will be read. After that, if I issue read of 8, the next 8 characters, that is from 3rd character to 10th character, it will be reading. And if I use read line method, it is going to read one single line. If I use read lines, that also I have given in the bit. So read lines method will return list, will return a list. What list? List of lines. It returns the list of lines. And then read method, without any arguments being passed, it will be reading the entire contents. It will be reading the entire contents. I hope everyone understood with that. And next I have discussed about this OS module. So what is the purpose of OS module? So OS module is used to deal with the file management. Basically OS module is used to deal with the file management. So what kind of file management it will be useful is, so it's going to be useful for creating new directories, for creating files, and for renaming the directories, for deleting the directories. So for all that, so I hope my audio is visible properly. Can you respond? Can I get response? Okay, let's continue. So for that reason, what we'll be doing is, we are going to use this command os.path.exist. So here when I moved my mouse cursor, you can see what are the different commands we can use with this os. So os.path.exist, if I use this command, it's going to return a boolean, and that boolean expression we can check, use it to check if the directory already exists. Otherwise only we can invoke the command mkdir. And similarly os.rmdir is used to remove the directory, but remember the fact that it can remove only if the directory is empty. Yeah, but if the directory is not empty, we cannot invoke this rmdir command. So for that I am using rmtree. So rmtree command is used to remove the directory recursively. That means the name itself makes you understand rmtree. So it's going to recursively delete all the subfolders and files within that, everything it is going to perform. And this rmtree method is not part of OS module, it is part of Shuttle module, and that's why I have imported Shuttle and then I am writing this. So this is how you are going to perform the creating of directories and removing of directories. And now, so yesterday itself I thought of discussing the formatting, but unfortunately we could not see. Very quickly I'll discuss the formatting and I'll move on to exception handling, which is very essential for any developer. So first I'll start with the basic things. I am using the console itself, because for that we don't require any programming. Formatting of output, I am just using the console itself. Suppose if I am saying x equal to 5 and let me say y equal to 7. Now here what I can do is, so I can just say print, so something like this. Within this what I am going to do is single quotes, and then I can just use the regular C style, that is %d plus %d, sorry, %d equal to %d comma, and then what I am going to do is, within this percentile I can just specify all the variables in the same order how I wanted them. So x comma y comma, next x plus y. So here you can see what we are doing. So this is the regular C style only, %d plus %d equal to %d, and Here you can see the separator is no space. Directly the separator is the percentile after percentile, because in C language, I hope you remember, you will be using percentile d plus percentile d equal to percentile d, and outside the double quotes you will be writing comma as the separator. But here we are using percentile as the separator, and then in same like C language we are giving the variables in the order how they should uh, be substituted for the percentile t's. Now if I press enter, you can see how it is being displayed. But this is the old style of formatting. This is a very old fashion of formatting. Coming to the new fashion of formatting, here we can just use the new style, something like this. We can use small f or capital F, which represents the formatted text. If you are using small f or capital F, it indicates formatted text. And within the quotes we are going to write whatever we wanted, and wherever variable value has to be substituted, you are going to represent within the curly braces. So the curly braces acts as the placeholder. Remember this term, the curly braces act as the placeholder. So here you can see now what I am doing. So wherever I am using curly braces, understand it's the placeholder. So here this particular selection right now you can see. So here curly braces, within that you have variable x. So this curly braces block is for holding the variable x. Similarly this curly braces is for holding the place for variable y, something like that. So this curly braces represents the placeholder, and the variables value will be substituted at the time of displaying. So here I can just give x plus y. It's up to you. Even if you use the old formatting style, nobody questions you, but whichever you are comfortable with, you just use it. So I hope you can see both the output are same. I'm not interested to show you the outputs. I'm just trying to tell the different ways of formatting the outputs. So here this is the simplest style uh, than compared to the old style. This is the simplest style than compared to the old style, and this is the oldest fashion of doing formatting. Now in real time nobody is using this particular style, because not only because of lengthy, because even it is confusing. So if you use this formatted uh, style, it will be very easily understandable to everyone. So I hope you are able to understand this. So using small f or capital F before starting the string, and then wherever you want variables values to be substituted in displaying the output, then you can use them in the placeholders. So placeholder is nothing but the curly braces. So I hope everyone understood this, and this is the one thing. Next I wanted to introduce you to few more things. So x equal to 3 4 5. Suppose if I am having something like this, this also I have given in the yesterday's test, but unfortunately since audio was not mapping with the video, I have just stopped the class. So print something like this, percentile 0 6 d, and then single quotes, and then as I mentioned, percentile x, whatever the variable. If you have multiple, you can just use that. So here you can see, what does it indicate when I am writing here 06d? What does it indicate? I am saying it should be 6 characters in length. It should be 6 characters in length, but the number is just 3 digits. So how it is appended with 3 zeros? How it is appended with 3 zeros? Now let's try a different one. Let me just copy it and paste this, and here instead of 0 let me just keep underscore something, and then let me just so here you can see underscore is not allowed, because for digits you can use only digits only, and even this x whatever you are using, it should be only of numbers. It should be only of numbers. I think this question also I gave in yesterday's test. This question also I have given in yesterday's test. So compulsory this d you can use it only with numbers, and 06d represents, so you are saying it should be of 6 digits, and before it should be prepended with zeros. That's what this particular output makes you understand. Let me just clear this so that again you won't get confused. I hope so far so good. So now the other ways of formatting. Suppose if I am just importing math. So let me just import math and show you something. So I think even you might have experimented this, but still it's my responsibility to show you all the ways of formatting the outputs. So here I can write something like this: f equal to f, that is for formatting text. So pi equal to, I'm just saying, and here I'm using math dot pi colon point 2f. I'll just tell you, you will easily understand it. So carefully observe what I have written. So I have written print formatting output. Since I have prepended with the small f, it is clearly understood by the Python interpreter that it's going to be a formatter output, and pi equal to, and then this curly braces will make it understand that it is placeholder. So math.py I want it to be displayed, but I am specifying with colon. I am specifying with colon, and then what I am doing, point 2f. Let me first run this and show you. So what do you see? So you can see the output coming as pi equal to 3.14. But if I directly execute, I hope you can understand. So here you can see, if I directly execute math.py, you can see it is coming for 15 digits. After the decimal point, you can see it coming for 15 digits. But I am not interested to get that much value. So I am interested to get only up to 2 digits. So that's the reason we are using this math.py colon dot 2f. Suppose if you are feeling this a little bit confused and you want to go for the old style only, even that is simple for you. So it's up to you which one you are going to use. All that it is up to you. So I can just use percentile point 2f, and then just close this, and then as usual, so here no comma separator, I already said you. So math dot py. So here you can see both, it is returning me the same output. It is returning me the same output. But just remember the fact that when you are using formatted with the small f or capital F, that indicates the new style. And if you are using this percentile separators, the percentile separators, it speaks of the old style. So this you should understand. So when I am using colon, when I am using colon, so you should understand that this particular will cause that field to be a minimum of specified characters wide. So you just remember this point. So when I am specifying something in colon, whatever I am going to pass after this colon, it will cause that field to be minimum number of characters wide. So here I am specifying 0.2f na, that indicates it should be only 2 digits after decimal point dot, and f indicates because it's going to be a floating type value, that's why we are just indicating with f. I hope everyone are able to understand this. And similarly, few more things also we can just try and explore. Suppose yeah, you can also have something like this: x equal to 5 and y equal to 7, and then suppose if I want to display something like this: print of x comma y comma x into y. Now if I just do like this, here you can see 5 7 35. You can see the output 5 7 35, but there is no separation apart from space. So by default the space is uh, the delimiter. By default the space is the delimiter, but if you want any other string or some other separators, that also you can just use. So simple, so I will use scp equal to, and then I'll just use some, let me use comma simply, and let me just press enter. So here you can see now 5 comma 7 comma 35, something like this. So by default the print, when you are writing multiple variables separated by comma, they all will be displayed with the space being as the delimiter. If you use SEP, that is for separator. So separator, you can use it for specifying any other string. So not only comma, you can use any other string, something my okay style. I'm just using something my style just to make you understand, not just thing. Here you can see 5 my style, 7 my style, 35, something like that. So and new line character also you can see. By default, new line will be appended. Let me just clear this. And so I hope this is clear to everyone. And let's see few more formattings, and then I'll move on to exception handling. So suppose if I'm just saying something like this, print, because all this I thought of discussing yesterday, but unfortunately due to some network issue, I could not discuss. So I don't want to skip this. That's why I'm discussing very quickly. I'll finish this formatting and move on to today's discussion. So percentile 5x, again if I'm using percentile 57. Any guess what will be the output here? Any guess of the output? Okay, let me run and show you so that you will better understand from that. So here you can see percentile 5x, and then I have given percentile 57. So what happened? It have returned me in hexadecimal. It have returned me in hexadecimal. So when I am using x, it indicates hexadecimal. And what is this 5 stands for? What is this 5 stands for? So before displaying the hexadecimal value, 5 spaces are added. Here before displaying the x value, hexadecimal value, it have added 5 spaces. Let me show you by removing that 5. I just want you to understand the things. Now you can see where you can find the output immediately from the first character, but here you can see it is coming after some space, and that space is 5 spaces. It is coming after 5 spaces. So this is what you just need to understand. So percentile x, if I am using, it indicates that is you are asking the decimal value to be displayed as hexadecimal. I hope you are able to get this point. Similarly, if I am using 5.5x. 5x, you understood that we are prepending 5 spaces, and if no numerical digit before that x, output comes from the first character position itself. But surprisingly, now I am using float number 5.5x. Any guess? Okay. So what you can see? So here you can see now it is coming. Any guess how the output is coming? So it's okay. Let me just clear myself. I just tried it because I haven't executed this earlier. I just tried and I thought it will give some error. Okay, let me just tell you slowly. And suppose if I just give the same thing with so let me use O. I think you can understand this. Oh, sorry. O, small o I'm using, and then percentile 57. I think you can understand this. Small o represents octal. Small o represents octal. And similarly, I can again show you with some 10O. Let me use 10O. Now what you can see? So now you can see that it is coming with 10 spaces. Sorry. So you can see 10 spaces are prepended. So you can see with the 10 spaces being prepended. So that's what the formatting. And again coming to the point that this is also the old style, but newer style is simple. So suppose if I am having d equal to 543, Suppose I'm having d equal to 543. Now let me quickly show you all styles. Print of okay, let me use simple strings, decimal, and separator obviously in new style, comma. So d. Next, here you can see how it is coming, simply decimal d. Now let me use here binary. So in new style you will very simply use this function. So bin, you have a function bin, sorry, it's d. And then here you can see this is the binary, and this 0b is just to indicate it is binary. If it is octal, so again you will just use the octal function, oct of d. Oh sorry, I should replace this with I hope you can understand that. So if you just replace this with octal, you can just get the string. Okay, let me just this is for hexa. So I hope you are able to understand. Here you can see 0b represents binary, 0o represents octal, 0x represents hexa. So far everything clear. Can I move on to further? So here you can see so what I have done is here I'm using print of percentile dot 4s and percentile of Krishna. Now any guess of the output? So here you can see that only 4 characters it is displaying. This is what how you do for strings. This is how you will be doing for strings. Similarly, again as I mentioned, this percentage style is of old fashion. So if you are not interested, again as I mentioned, you can just use the placeholder style. So here you can use something like this placeholder style, and then what you will be doing difference is here you will be using format function for strings. Specifically you will be using format function only for strings, especially you have to use the format function. Okay, just a second. Okay, sorry, here we don't use this percentile na. Here we don't use percentile, instead we use colon. We have seen in earlier case. Yeah, I hope now you can see. So screen is not clear means it is only from your end, Lokesh Kumar. Only one thing is you just close the window and once again open the window, because parallelly in order to read any chat messages, I have already opened in my mobile parallelly, so I can see it very clearly. It's only your data speed problem. If your internet speed is too low, then you will be facing that screen not clear. But if your internet speed is good, you don't face that problem. That's the only point I would like to tell. If anybody is facing buffering issue or screen not clear issue, you can just close the window and once again open the window, because as said, I have already opened in my mobile parallelly the same live class, because to read your chat messages only. So clarity wise, it's no problem. From my end, it is perfect. I hope others also will accept. So those who are facing buffering, small buffering issue or any screen not clear issue, you can just once close the window and reopen the window. Yeah, thank you, Srija. Yeah, screen is clear only. Let me continue with my thing. So I hope everyone understood this formatting style. So I have shown you the different ways of formatting the outputs, and this is how you will be formatting strings. And and one thing what you need to just remember is, suppose if I am writing something like this, print, and let me just show you for simple example. I am using placeholder position. This is placeholder position, and here I'm just saying this dot format of, and then here I'm using, let me say simple, okay, 1 comma 2. So carefully observe. So here now what I'm using is, I'm using placeholder. Here I'm using placeholder, and here you can see the placeholder. I've given 1 first and then 0, and then here you can see in the format order, what is the first argument? 1, the second argument 2. Now what you can see, the output. Now the output you can see, first displayed is 2, next displayed is 1. That means I'm using the placeholder indexes in order to reorder my output, and this is not possible with the old style. This is not possible with the old style. This is possible only with the new style. Old style doesn't support this. Just remember that fact. Old style doesn't support this. So that's what with regard to formatting. And there are many other formatting styles. You can just try and explore them. I'll quickly show you few more for you to just make you understand. So I'm just using something like this, and here and then dot format of some string I require. So let me just use test. Okay, so here you observe what is it coming. Now output it is showing, or is it coming? The console got stuck or what? Because again I need to get that in of 37. So until that we just need to wait. So it's still formatting. Actually what it will be doing is, so when I am using this colon greater than 10 dot format of test, it is supposed to display me test with 10 spaces, with 10 spaces. And similarly, okay, yeah, quotes ending, yeah, correct. Thank you, Abhishek. Yeah, misplaced quotes. I haven't written the quotes properly. Okay, let me just quickly restart kernel, because it's not continuing there. It will just take yeah, just a second. I haven't closed the quotes properly. Yeah, it came. So here, let's run this and see. Here you can see what is happening. So first 10 characters, it have just prepended with the spaces. Similarly, you can also prepend it with some underscore also, something like this. You can also prepend it with some underscores or hyphens, something like this also you can do. Suppose if I am doing something, now here you can see the 10 spaces are filled with underscore. The 10 spaces are filled with underscore. I didn't get you, Sriharsha. What is meant by printing error? Okay, let me continue. The same thing again, you can also do it with less than. I hope you can understand now. So just reverse. The underscores are appended. The underscores are appended. So similarly, you can also use something like XOR also. You can also use XOR. Here you can see what is the difference. Center alignment. So if you are using XOR means it is center alignment. So with this, I'll stop my discussion on formatting. I'll move on to exception handling. I hope everyone understood whatever I have discussed. So this is how you will be performing formatting with the strings. So I have started with formatting of string with taking colon this dot 4s, and then made you understood that to extract only 4 characters, and then using of this format string, how we will be doing for appending the some additional characters, or prepending with some additional characters, or using XOR for making it central alignment, all that I have shown you. So I'll just move on to exception handling now. So what is meant by exception handling? Can I listen to some of your answers? Guys, I already mentioned, kindly use the chat window to raise your queries or to answer for the questions what I ask you. Kindly make it interactive. Nobody wants to answer? Very good, Srija. Exactly. So runtime error. So just remember this point, because even if our code is syntactically correct, sometimes you will be seeing some error during execution, and such errors that you can see during the execution are called exceptions. Yeah, exception is runtime error. So we will be using exception handling to handle that errors. I hope you understood, Santoshni. So exception is not used to handle error. Exception is the runtime error. So we use exception handling in order to handle such errors. So what is exception is that occurs during the execution. We call them as exceptions. And if we don't handle them, what happens? It abruptly terminates your program. I think even with Java, you might have understood about exception definition and about exception handling. Only thing you just require to have the knowledge here is how exception handling is dealt in Python, and what are the blocks we use in Python. These are the points you just need to understand, because since you have covered with Java, you already know that exception handling and what is exception, how you handle exceptions, all that you basically know. But you just need to have the knowledge of how to handle such exceptions in Python. So if exceptions are not handled, then you will be getting the program abruptly terminated. Yes, try catch final blocks, that is in Java, correct? And in Python, how we handle exceptions is we use try, except, else, finally. I'm just writing here itself: try, except, else, finally. So these are the 4 blocks we will be using in Python in order to deal with exception handling. I hope everyone understood this. We'll see a small simple program to understand this exception handling very quickly. I'll move on. So these are the blocks we'll be using, and I just want you to have a glimpse on the exception hierarchy in Python. So I have just downloaded a simple image. Here is the image. I hope you can see the image. So this is what the exception hierarchy in Python. So here you can see, as in case of Java, in Java we have throwable as the supermost class. Na? Similarly, in Python we have base exception as the supermost class, and base exception having subclasses exception, keyboard interrupt. Again, let me once again zoom this. I hope now it is visible. Yeah, here base exception is the supermost class, again, which is having subclasses exception and keyboard interrupt, and again exception you can see attribute error. So this attribute error you will be getting when you are trying to assign something to a variable, or in simple attribute whose assignment fails. That is how you will be getting attribute error. So when you are trying to make some assignment, and if that assignment fails, we get this attribute error. And coming to arithmetic error, you can see what are the different arithmetic errors. Floating point error, when you have this floating point error, you will be getting that overflow error. That means the value which you are trying to uh, store in is exceeding the memory limit, then it will come overflow error. Zero division error, I think you all are familiar with that. So when you are performing some division operation or modulo operation with 0 as the divisor, you get this zero division error. EOF error, that is end of file error. And next, name error. So name error, basically it is very simple. Suppose if I am saying x equal to 10, and if I am trying to print x1, what do you get? Name error, because x1 you have not defined, but you are trying to display x1. I hope you are able to understand the simple thing what I mentioned. So you have defined x equal to 10, but you are trying to display x1. So you will be getting name error. And similarly, a lookup error. So you can see index error and key error. So index error is just similar to your array index out of bounds. I hope you are able to understand. So Rashmika, is she belonging to our class? Okay, anyway, leave it. Let's not bother. So index error, generally you will be getting this index error when you have array index out of bounds exception. So you are trying to access a string or a list, something which is beyond the index. Similarly, key error. So you are trying to get some value from a dictionary whose key is not defined. I hope you are able to understand. That's when you get key error. So basically, that's when you get this lookup errors. And stop iteration we will be using in case we want to terminate some loop. Suppose you have for loop, and based on a condition you want to stop that iteration, then you will be using this stop iteration. And similarly, OS error. So file exists error, we have already seen that. So when you are trying to create a directory, you will be getting file exists error. And permission error, you are trying to read or write a file for whose permission was not given to you. That's when you get this permission error. And similarly, type error. So type error, uh, best example is something like you are performing subtraction operation on strings. Is it possible to perform subtraction on strings? Definitely not. So I'm having something like a equal to hello, b equal to world, and then I'm just saying print of a minus b. How can it subtract hello from world? Hello minus world is not possible, na? That's when you get type error. So, and similarly, value error. So basically, value error you will be getting when you are trying to pass some invalid data type values to the built-in function arguments. I hope you are able to understand that. You are trying to pass some invalid values to built-in functions. Then you will be getting this value error. And the best example is, suppose if I am saying a equal to int of hello. I hope you are able to understand. I am saying a equal to int of hello. That means I am trying to convert hello to integer. Is it possible? Definitely not. So there you will be getting this value error. I hope everyone understood all the errors what I mentioned. So apart from this, you have assertion error. When the assert condition, whatever you are writing, if it fails, you get that assertion error. Similarly, you can have import error. Suppose you are writing import maths, maths, then you will be getting that import error. So you can try all these things, whatever I am telling you. So there is a module math, but there is no module math. maths is not there. Only math is there. So you cannot write import maths. So there you will be getting import error. And if there is some syntax mistake, then you will be getting syntax error. Something like this. You can just try all these things. That's where you will be getting this different errors. And all this, whatever you can see in this hierarchy, they are built-in exceptions. They are all built-in exceptions. And base exception is the supermost class. So I hope it's visible. Sorry. So here you can see something like this. If I'm just writing print of, so here you can see in the console when I'm writing this one, it's not showing any error. It's not showing any error. But when I press enter, you can see name error. Hello is not defined because it's not a variable. It's not a variable. Something like this. So you can just try like this various errors. As I mentioned, suppose if I'm saying a equal to int of hello, something like this, if I'm just giving, so it's not showing any error here. But when I press error, when I press enter, you can see value error. You can see value error because you cannot convert a string to integer like this with the int function, which is not actually an integer. So these are all the typical errors that we'll be seeing. And similarly, I think you know this: a equal to 9, b equal to 0, and then if I just say a by, let me use double slash, double forward slash. So here you can see now 0 division error. So these are all the typical day-to-day errors what we will be seeing. Okay, let me quickly show you how you are going to deal with such exceptions. Just bear for another 5 to 10 minutes. I'll begin your test. So let me just save this. Desktop. Very quickly I'll wind up. This exception handling is very important. Kindly be patient. Okay, so now how you are going to use this exception handling? As mentioned, you will be using try colon enter, and then here you are going to write whatever the things. So let me just give you a simple example. A equal to int of input. That means I'm going to read some value from the user, and that's what I'm saying here. And then after this, let me just try to print that. Print. So I'm just saying okay, let me say a. Now here I'm just using except. So just similar to your catch, except, and let me simply write one simple print itself, not more than that. Print error. So now here you can see what we have done. So within the try block, what you will be doing is you are going to write all the code that you expect that might raise some exception. All the code which you expect that might raise some exception, you will be placing in try block. And what you are going to place in catch block, you are going to place the code that will be handling the exceptions that you expected in the try. And just like in Java, catch of exception, here we use except colon, that's it. So this except colon will be capable of handling all type of errors. This except colon will be capable of handling all types of, exceptions. So this is what simply, now it's very simple program, nothing to uh, difficult to understanding. So I'm just running this. So here it is waiting, the console is waiting for me to provide input. So I'm just giving 5. So you can see it is displaying 5 because there's nothing wrong in that. Now let me just try to once again run, and here let me give now high. Now what you can see, it's not displaying high because what are we doing? I'm converting the input to integer, and I'm just giving there high, which is not an integer. So what is happening? Instead of displaying, the control went to except block and it have displayed error. It have displayed error. So this is what simply. Similarly, even I can just give here something like a of I. Sorry, not I. A of let me say 1. I hope you are able to understand what I have done there. So I have just given a of 1. What is that a of 1 indicates? I am trying to display the second argument. But actually, is it a list? No. So again, you can see what it will do. So F5, and let me say to 25. So again, it is saying error. But the point need to be understood is, here the first time what it have returned is the type error. The first time what it have returned is the type error. Now the second time what it is returning is the index error. The second time what it is returning is the index error. But all types of errors are handled by this except block. All types of errors are handled by the except block. That point you need to be understood here. So suppose if I write something like this here, except, let me say, value error. Let me just use this value error. Now let me just save this and now run this. And now here let me just give here 25. Now what you see? Now what you can see? So you can see type error. Now you can see type error. The reason is, here I am trying to print a of 1, but actually it's not a list. If it is a list only, I can access the second element using the index 1. But here it's a normal integer. It's a singular value holding variable, but I'm trying to acquire the second value stored in that particular list, which is not actually a list. So it is showing me type error. We have written except. We have written except, but in the earlier case I have used except colon, but now I am using except value error. I hope you are able to understand. Now I am using except value error. So it is saying type error. Now what you have to do? So you have to also include type error. Okay, let me include type error. So I am including now type error. Okay. So I am including type error. Now let me just clear this console because again I need to move down. Okay, fine. Now I just made it type the except as type error. Now I am running. Now let me give here hi. Now what is the error you see? Now what is the error you see? Value error. Now you can see value error. The reason is, you are handling type error, but now it is coming with value error. So when you are writing code, you should be careful in addressing all the possible exceptions, because you are writing some code for the end user, and you don't know what kind of person is the end user and what kind of input he is going to provide. For that reason, it is your responsibility, being a developer, you should write code in such a way that all possible uh, exceptions will be handled by your code. So always do remember one point. It's a kind of slogan. So when you write, you should be a programmer. Sorry, when you write, you should be like a end user. You should think like a end user and write the code. Or else the other way I will put in something like this. So when you write, you should write like a programmer, but when you test, you should test like a end user. I think this statement will be fine. So always do remember this slogan. So being a programmer, always do remember this statement. Just know what I mentioned. So whenever you are writing, think like a programmer. Whenever you are testing your code, be or act as a end user. Then only you will be able to uh, encounter all different ways of errors. Now, how you can just mention different exception classes. So what I can also do is, here I can also include something like this: value error, and then let me just put them in brackets. Yeah, now you can see how we are doing. I'm just writing like this. You can put several number of exceptions, I mean types. Now here you can see I'm just giving high, it is saying error. Now let me say F5. Now again 5, I'm giving 5. Again it's saying. That means both type error and value error are handled now. Here you can see now both type error and value error are handled. So this is possible with Python and not possible with Java. I hope you agree to my statement, because in Java you cannot write multiple exception classes in one single catch block. Yes or no? Guys, kindly respond. So in Java, you cannot write multiple classes in one single catch block. Whereas in Python, this is possible. You can write multiple exception classes in one single except block. And you can also use something like this. That is multiple catch blocks you can also use. Okay. So in real time, this is how you will be using in order to make us understand what is the error. Because here when I here in this case you observe that when I am giving high, it is giving error. When I am giving 5, it is giving error, but I am not able to understand what type of error exactly when you are grouping multiple classes like that. So it's always preferable to use multiple catch blocks like this. So when you use multiple catch blocks like this, it will be very good. It will be very good. Like here now you see, let me first clear this console so that once again I can make it look side by side. Now let me just run this. So here you see, if I am giving 5, now you can see clearly it is type error. It is saying type error. Accordingly, you can go and check for the type error. Similarly, if I am again running it, and here let me give now high. Now it is saying value error. Accordingly, you can check. So this is how in real time we are not supposed to use this multiple exception classes in single except block, and even use single except without any class specific. So better always use the class specific. And just like in case of Java, always do remember that the subtypes come first and super type last. Always when you are writing multiple catch blocks, always do remember this point, that when you are writing, always write subtypes first and then the super type. If you write super type first, everything will be handled by the super type. So just remember that fact. Now very quickly, let us see about try, except and else. So I'll very quickly write here itself else, and here let me just remove this statement. For time being, I'll just put it in comments. So I'll just write colon print. I'm just writing single else. That's it. Now coming to this try, except and else. What is this else? So except block can be followed by else block. It's optional. It is optional, but just remember the fact when this else block will be executed is this else block will be executed when no exception is occurred. This else block is executed only when no exception is occurred. Let me quickly run this and show you. So F5, and now here you see, for suppose if I am giving high, what you can see value error. So else block is not executed. Once again, let me run this and show you. I am giving 5. So what you can see, else is being executed, else block is being executed. So just remember this point, very simple point. So except block can be followed by an else block, and this else block gets executed only when no except block is executed. In simple, if there is no exception occurred, then only else block gets executed. When there is no exception occurred, then only else block gets executed. Similarly, I think finally I need not tell, you are familiar with finally. So if I just include finally, so what is finally? When does finally block executes? Can I see anybody giving answers? So finally block will be executed when there is exception or no exception. Will finally block gets executed when there is exception or no exception? So finally block gets executed whether there is exception or no exception. So let me run this. So here you can see now I'm just giving high. So what you can see, high is value error is displayed, that particular catch block executed, I mean except block executed, and then finally got executed. Now let me press F5 and let me give 5. Now here you can see else and finally got executed. So no exception. So else block got executed and finally also got executed. So whether exception occurs or not occurs, finally gets executed. And when no exception occurs, then else block gets executed. And a single try can have more than one, or you can say more than zero except blocks. And within a single except block you can include multiple exception classes. I hope all of you understood this. So this is how you will be dealing with exception handling in Python. So you will be using try, except, else, finally blocks in order to handle exceptions in Python. And a single try block must and should have at least one except block, and single except can contain multiple exception classes as well. And else block will be executed only when there is no exception occurred in the try. And lastly finally gets executed whether exception is there or not. So this is what I wanted to make you understand with regard to formatting and exception handling. Hope all of you understood today's session, and I hope today everything is clear with no audio or video issues. As I mentioned, if anybody is facing any audio any video buffering or video uh, blur issue, it's from your data speed. So once close the window and reopen and test it. So I think I have extended my time. Let me quickly begin the test. Let's start the test. So here is the game code. You can just join with your hall ticket number. So I am going to remove if anybody comes with names. Kindly join only with your hall ticket number. I am going to remove anybody coming with names. Kindly join with your hall ticket numbers only. So the same URL quizzes.com/join, and then the game code is 794414. Kindly come only with your hall ticket numbers. I will remove if anybody coming with names. Guys, join fast. Just hold on for another 2 minutes. We'll see if anybody else will join. I'll just start in another 2 minutes. Within 2 minutes only. Another 1 minute. I'll just start within 1 minute. So once I start the session, I'll end it within 10 minutes because the test actually don't take more than 3.5 minutes. But at least for those who are coming late, I'm just keeping it open. But within 10 minutes, I'm going to stop And as I mentioned, I don't know how many of you are realizing the importance of these tests what I'm conducting. I'm saving all these tests, and I'm maintaining the average of these test scores. I don't know if you can be allowed for future trainings or not based on your scores. So take it serious, attend the classes, and perform the test nice in order to get good marks for getting yourself on the top to get shortlisted for future trainings. Here I go. I'm starting the test. All the best. another 1 minute. I am going to end the game. Those who are doing the test, do it fast. So congratulations to roll number 503, 551, and 520. So I hope you enjoyed. Let's meet for tomorrow's OOPS concepts in Python. Tomorrow we shall discuss OOPS concepts in Python.